Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my complete pocket knife collection. I try to do this once a year, and it is absolutely that time. I have acquired a lot of stuff since the last time I did this video. Some of these knives are available and some of them are not. I'll be providing my favorite retailers down in the description, so if you see something you like, definitely check out those retailers. We're going to be moving very, very quickly today, much faster than I normally do, so I'm probably not going to be saying a whole lot about each individual knife. I'll pull them out, kind of turn them over, say something, and then move on. That way we can get every single one of these in one video. We'll be doing timestamps, so I'm going to be starting off here with the NAFS Burrito, and that's like size comparison knives and a lot of the stuff I'm currently EDCing. Then we're going to move on to some of my budget stuff, and then it kind of moves into, nothing's in perfect order, some of my budget stuff, and it starts to move into a little bit more premium stuff, a lot of high-end premium knives. And we're going to move on to overbuilt knives, and then we're going to move on to the super case with a lot of the super expensive and or very, very rare stuff. So again, I'll link the retailers down in the description. You guys can check that stuff out. At the end of the video, let me know what your favorite knife of the bunch was. That would be very interesting. So without further ado, let's go ahead and move into the NAFS Burrito. All right, so I keep these knives in the NAFS Burrito because it rolls up and it's really easy to kind of just move out of the way. And these are knives that I'm reaching for really a lot during the day. The first two rows are all knives that I use for size comparison knives during reviews. And this final row here, this is what I'm currently carrying, but these 5 knives change a lot. I've got a lot of different knives that I carry, so nothing's really super dedicated. Starting off here, we have the Olone Knives Goat Axle. That's a great one. We have the TRM Atom in the diamond textured titanium, also a great knife. Next up, we have the Sharp by Design Evo Typhoon. This was one out of the most recent batch. We have, of course, the Riot Exo M gravity knife. This is the smaller one. This is definitely the one that I enjoy carrying the most because it's got the lock on it. And then, of course, the brand new Flytanium and Demco Arcade with the Shark Lock. Absolutely fantastic. We have, of course, the Microtech Ultratech. It's a fantastic USA automatic knife. We have the classic Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue. Everybody at home saying that with me, I'm sure. If not out loud, then definitely in your head. We have the Benchmade Bug Out. This guy's got Flytanium titanium scales, and then we have S90V. This was actually custom made for me by Benchmade. They just sent that to me. We have the Ontario Rat. Has definitely seen quite a lot of use. That's the Rat 1. We have the Ontario Rat Model 2 right here. Another crowd favorite, I guess. We have the Civivi Elementum Button Lock, which is probably the best of the Elementums. We have my least favorite knife ever, and that's the Opinel. In this case, it's an Opinel number 8. They're fine. They're cheap knives. It as a collector, does nothing for me, but I keep it around because it does work as a size comparison knife periodically, and also, it's a nice prop for jokes, I guess. If you like it, that's fine. Nothing against you. We have the Demco AD 20.5 in titanium, textured titanium, and CPM 3V. We have the CJRB Large Pyrite Button Lock, which is a great, just such an excellent knife. We have the smaller steel Pyrite in the, should we say reverse tanto? I don't know, blade shaped police, saber rattling over that. But yeah, the steel button lock Pyrite. We have my Spyderco PM2 S30V, and we've got some titanium Flytanium scales on it. And then we have the Spyderco Para 3. This one's in Maximate, which is actually held up pretty well. And then we have some, I think, RGB skinny scales in micarta and the MXG deep carry clip. Okay, it's time to move on to the next case here. All right, so this case is a combination of budget knives, and then there's also some high-end stuff kind of sprinkled in here. So starting off here in the bottom right corner, we have the Bird Meadowlark, which is a really, really special knife to me. This one in particular. I won't go into detail why, but it is. We have the CJRB Pyrite, just the plain drop point with the steel handle. Felt like a good idea to keep one of those around. We have the NAFS Lander, which is some excellent, very modular, very customizable budget knife. We have the world's only actual gas station knife, which was a gift when I hit 100,000 subscribers. Or maybe it was 200,000 subscribers. I can't remember, but this was a gift from Scott, so of course I have to keep that one. I have a titanium pyrite, the CJRB pyrite in AR RPM 9 and just sort of blasted titanium. It's amazing the difference in feeling between those two. We have the Kaiser Brat, which I had to keep because I just love that it's a G10 integral. Really awesome knife. That one's absolutely available. A lot of this stuff is, whether I say it or not. We have the the Winter Blade Co. Factor variant 3. This is the newest version in the polished Damascus, so that's a fun one. Moving on, this is the Dan Caraher 904 Integral, which actually was customized with my logos on it, which is really cool. This is a knife that is not talked about very much. Definitely awesome. We have the ProTech Godfather in the Sapphire Blue, which is also usually a crowd favorite. That ProTech Blue Sapphire is pretty awesome. We have a really great budget knife. This is the CJRB Echo button lock. Excellent knife. We have, I'm not going to whip this one out for you guys because it's a little bit, this one makes me nervous, but this is the Riot XOK Morphing Karambit. There is a really cool sort of Super Ninja flip thing that you can do with this, but I'm not super confident with that, so I'm not going to do it. We have an old Cold Steel Code 4 Tanto in CTS XHP. Wonderful knife. We have, oh yeah, the Iridium, the special edition titanium Kershaw Iridium in CPM 20CV. We have another really excellent budget knife that I had to hang on to, and that's the Vosteed Raccoon. This one in a blue frag micarta and 14C28N. We have, what is this down here? Oh, yeah, that's the production razor by the slip joint razor by Serge Penchenko. This actually gets used quite a bit. These are really, really cool. I like them a lot. We have the Sencut Serene button lock. This is aluminum, and I forget the steel. It's probably 9CR18MOV, but I honestly can't remember. Moving on, the knife that I was supposed to give back to my wife years ago, and is still down here. This is my gift to my wife a long time ago. This is the Kershaw Blur in S30V. It has actually been thoroughly loved and needs a sharpening. This is a weird one. We have the Mikkel Williamson TFG, or Tools for Gents, razor. I think you can actually still get this. This is so weird. It's a shaving razor, but my goodness, is it thick. Will it work? I don't know. Maybe I kept it because it's weird. Moving on, we have the Serge Penchenko Production Bean, which is a double D10 flipper and very fun. Perhaps the best sub $100 knife of all time. We have the Civivi Vision FG with the Super Lock. Really enjoy that one, and truthfully, this gets carried a lot, and for some reason is not in the burrito right now. We have my titanium, the Elementum by WE. It actually has my logo on it. I forgot that WE had actually done this for me, so that was really cool. We have one of my Miguron Valona knives. This is probably my favorite, with the gray PVD, the gray G10, and the gray liners. Really, really excellent budget knife. We have the M390 Valona, which has the marble, or like the shred carbon fiber, and M390 with titanium liners. We have, this is the Spyderco Delica in the San Mai Damascus and titanium scales, MXG deep carry clip. Really great one there. We have the Civivi Conspirator button lock. If I remember correctly, this isn't quite a budget knife. It definitely should be. I think it's over 75. We got a huge one that just barely fits in here. This is the new Artisan Cutlery Proponent with the sand-washed S35VN blade. This is titanium, frag textured. Really impressive from Artisan Cutlery. See if I can just mash that back down in there. That's great. We have the Miguron Moyarl, which might just be, it's definitely one of the best budget knives to ever exist, for sure. Moving on here, we have the Sencut Saxi, I believe. It's hard for me to remember all of these, but the Sencut Saxi. Button lock. Next step, if I can get it out of here. We have another Civivi Elementum. This one is just the liner lock version. Keep a lot of these around in case I need to use them as an example for something. This is the GTC and Civivi Hypersonic, which I kept because it is absolutely the weirdest collaboration and definitely the weirdest Civivi that exists, so I really had to keep that one. This next knife is actually my first pocket knife ever, but it has been fully restored. So this was my grandpa's knife, then it was my dad's knife, and then it was mine. And this is the knife that my dad, if you guys have heard that story, where I got my first pocket knife and I started throwing it at an old refrigerator box, kind of like this. And my dad took it away and didn't give it back for a couple of years. This was completely and totally restored. It looked much, much worse. This looks like brand new. They even replaced one of the scales. And I actually kind of think it's cool that it doesn't match perfectly. I just think this is great. At some point, I will give this knife to my son, but this was my very first knife. And I think we can actually still see what it is. This is a Camillus number 70. So for those of you who know a lot more about Camillus, then you might find that interesting. This one, having to dig out there. This is the Civivi Baby Banter, which is still my dedicated travel knife. It's just a great one. This one right here, we have the AGA Campolin Swing Guard Stiletto, which is definitely my nicest classic stiletto. And it has these absolutely beautiful, I always say abalone, but I always forget if it's abalone or abalone, but the abalone inlays. I've always wanted to own one of these, and if you're going to buy one, this is the, without going into the super custom versions, these are some of the nicest production ones that exist. We have the CJRB Rhea, which used to be one of my favorite budget knives ever, and it's still a very, very good knife. I still have it because I just don't quite want to let it go. We have my other Miguron Valona. This is just the polished one, again, in 14C28N. This is the one that does not have the forward choil. We have the Sencut Crowley button lock, which, again, is just one of the better budget button locks out there. We have the Civivi Chevalier, which is probably the most expensive budget button lock, but probably the very best budget button lock in existence. We have this giant AKC Roma swing guard. Everybody asks me about this, and everybody's like, oh, that's so cool. Listen, it looks cool, but I'm going to be real with you guys. This thing is a hunk of crap. It's terrible. Everything, the fit and finish is so bad on this thing, and everything is so... Oh. I mean, if you just want like a big swing guard, right? I mean, I keep it around because every time I show it on YouTube Shorts, people just go nuts for it. But it's garbage for the money, absolutely. Next up, we have the Sniper Bladeworks DMF, which is definitely one of the most expensive knives in this box. And truthfully, I've filled up these boxes, which is part of the reason I'm doing this video. As soon as I get more of these, which by the way are Pelican cases with Nalpac foam, highly recommendable, much better than the foam it comes with. But once I get new cases, then obviously I'll be rearranging some of these, which is why it seems like they're out of order. Last but not least, I, for the life of me, cannot remember what this knife is called. At some point, I remember seeing it on Amazon. I don't think it's actually a super expensive knife, but I kept it, and it was given to me by a viewer. I kept it because it has a really interesting lock, right? This is engaged. It cannot disengage, and obviously while you're holding onto it, it keeps everything locked down. To disengage it, you pull right here, and then it sort of just swings closed. Really interesting. If you know what this is, let people know in the comments. But I hung on to it because it's weird. All right, moving on to the next case. All right, now we're at the blue case. Knives on average in this case are a little more expensive. Starting off here, we have the Max Ace Peregrine in carbon fiber and Sanmai ZDP 189. Had to hold on to that one. We have the Knoll Knives Raiden in black and bronze, and then I actually have another Knoll Knives Raiden, all stonewashed. Very, very cool. Moving on here, this one always creates a lot of jealousy, and that's the TRM Shadow
titanium. Huge fan of that one. Can't quite bring myself to use this guy. I know that someday I will, but at the moment I'm not using it. We have another knife that just barely fit in here, and this one I actually have to unscrew the secondary lock. You don't have to leave that in there, but this is the mini Beowulf from Midgard's Messer. I think you can still pick these up at Tools for Gents, but I'm honestly not sure. I have a link for Tools for Gents down there, so you guys can check it out if you want to. Moving on here, we have the Arkona Buran or Arkona Buran. I honestly cannot remember. Really, really cool GTC integral lock right here, how they cut that out. Big fan of that one. This one. People have been asking me about this one a lot lately. It's become increasingly rare, but this is the Reich, I think it says right here, the 1902. I don't know why suddenly this knife has become so interesting, but I've had many people ask, like, will you sell that? Will you sell that? No, but thank you for your interest. We have the Tactile Knife Co. Rockwall in titanium, and is this one MagnaCut? Yeah, CPM MagnaCut. We have the Granbu Knives Rust, which is a massively underrated EDC knife. This one was actually mirror polished by him, the designer, personally. For me, this is the full production version with a hollow grind. Really like that one. Moving on here, of course, the Reich RK Shadow. This has got the sort of sheathed frame release back here. You can watch me do this on a recent short or recent upload. It's actually really cool. I've never seen anything like this. People always say, why? What's the point? Ease of maintenance and Reich flexing their manufacturing capabilities, right? Honestly, I'm glad they did it. I think it's really cool. We have the Tactile Knife Co. Maverick. This is a pre-production sample, so before they fixed the blade issues. We have a knife here that's a little bit difficult to get out, but definitely one of my favorites. We have the Urban EDC Supply exclusive F5.5 with the Sagaya pattern. Very cool. We have the Berg Blades Iron Wolf, which is the bigger guy. Really glad they decided to do one more run of the bigger guy. They may not be done yet, but I really like that one. We have the Wee Ziphius. This was a special edition knife, and to this day might be the very best button lock ever. It has the sort of wraparound backspacer, blue anno. Really, really gorgeous. And then we have its brother, the Exiton, which is equally as good. Has, in my opinion, a slightly less interesting blade shape, but still beautiful. This was also a special edition, and I had to keep this one too. It's just some of the coolest stuff that Wee has ever made. We have the Skelton Bladeworks and Tuya Kaladin with a C, Kaladin, with the silver twill. This is such a Jim Skelton knife. I'm a huge fan of this. I love this. Really, really cool knife. Moving on, we have my wife's most recent gift to me, and that's a ProTech TR3. It was amazing that I had never owned this knife. She gave it to me. My very first Spyderco Shaman, which the black scales have been removed, and I have the REC, the River's Edge Cutlery exclusive scales on there. But yeah, that was my first one a long time ago. Back when I was complaining, they bumped the price from $155 to $180. Pretty old, right? This is the Wee Knives Cybernetic, probably the most impressive knife that Wee has ever made. So obviously had to hang on to that one. We have the Oxworks Lantra EDX, I think. Eric Ox, very cool. We have the Wee Vision R. This is the titanium. This is the premium version. I think these are actually still available. Very cool. We have the Winter Blade Co. Mirage, which is the magnetically assisted knife. I think this was a pre-production sample. That one got EDC'd a lot. The first gift from my wife, this is the Lion Steel TRE Titanium. Very, very cool. Love that one. We have my other Winter Blade Co. Factor. I think this is a version 2 carbon fiber and titanium with M390. So enjoy that one a lot. That's the one that I carry usually. We have the Hawk Knives Shortcut. This is a very recent acquisition. Very cool. Definitely the nicest, craziest EDC box cutter. I've ever seen. We have a custom knife from Bastion Knives here. I don't know that it actually has a name, but it has a beautiful, I think this is like a proprietary blend of Timascus that he creates. I think it's just, custom folder number 279. Very cool. Moving on here, we have, I can never pronounce this one. The CMB Made Knives Kawananagare, which is it's the only attempt you're going to get from me. I have no idea if I pronounced that correctly, so sorry. We have the Blade Shops edition of the Spyderco Kapara, so it's a much shorter, just basically a customized short version of the Kapara. We have the only Malibu I have in my collection. This is the Protect Malibu textured in DLC. We have a Boost Blades custom arrow, which I actually have not done a review on yet. This isn't one that I talk about a lot, but very, very nice. We will definitely get a review on this guy at some point. Moving on here, we have probably the nicest production Chinese OTF in existence, and that's the Max Ace Medusa. I think this is the 2.0. They got the power down on this. Very, very nice. It actually has titanium inlays there. Next up, we have the Quechua Telson with it's got some fingerprints on that zirconium inlay. That's why I kept this one. I was really surprised to see a knife with a zirconium inlay for such a low price. It's not something we normally see. Next up, we have the special edition. I think this was a Sprint, or it might have been a DLT exclusive, might have been a Sprint, maybe it's a Blade HQ exclusive. Spyderco Smock in DLC M4 and Jade. Definitely a rare one these days. We have the Kunwu S Tau, which is the sheep's foot Tau, I think, in Vanax. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember the models. It's obviously really hard for me to remember all of these knives, but certainly one of the best Vanax EDC knives available, for sure. Moving on here, we have the TW Price Designs, the Dawn. I had to make sure that I had one of these. This is such an incredible knife, and really happy that he saw success with that model. Moving on here, the Kunwu Padre. Oh boy, I really like that one. You guys got to check out the Kunwu Padre. There'll be links down in the description for Kunwu's website. Definitely check out Kunwu in general. We have my Benchmade custom shop, Mini Crooked River. This was a gift actually from a long time ago. CPM 20 CV, blue with black bolsters and then a blue pivot collar. Just really awesome. We have another huge knife that just barely fits, and that's the PMP Kodiak, which is the same profile as the PMP Alpha Beast. It's just nowhere near as thick, but it is still gigantic. Absolutely monstrous knife. I think you can still get those. We have the Artisan Cutlery and Bag Knives Citadel, which is really wild that they actually managed to make this. I can't remember if these are still available or not. They're definitely expensive, and it has the Artisan Cutlery I think it's the sand wash on it. Very ambitious project and understandably expensive. And then the last one in the case is, I think it's the Guardian Tactical. Yeah, this is the one I EDC, the Guardian Tactical Recon 35 with the carbon fiber inlay. Definitely one of the best USA OTF knives in existence. Moving on to the Overbuilt Knives case. All right, this case is always a crowd favorite because these knives are just absolutely insane. You might know that I am a bit of an overbuilt knife connoisseur, right? I like lots of different stuff, but I do, specifically I like overbuilt knives. This is the Midgard's Messer carbine rifle knife, which is huge. It also has the secondary pin that you can put in there and lock it out. But the other lock that it has is a carbine action style pin that actually goes into the blade in the locked out position. So that is very weird. I've never seen that before, but a lot of these are Midgard's Messer because that's what they make, right? But I, for obvious reasons, had to keep this one in my knife collection. We have the new Max Ace Sandstorm 2. This is a huge titanium integral. I think it's a 10-inch knife. Pretty rare to see a titanium integral anyway, but one that's so gigantic, definitely don't see that often. The very rare, this is the Riot T1000, but it is a I think it's a Crane's Cutlery exclusive in Zircotai. So there were, I think, 30 of these made. Does it say? Yeah, down here I have number 24 of 30. But the standard versions of this knife are very expensive. It has that sort of weird Frankenstein lock, which is pretty cool. It's the only way you can disengage it outside of the frame lock. But definitely massively, massively overbuilt. Not just in terms of thickness, but just the locking capabilities. We have one of the original Vikings from Midgard's Messer. It's sort of like a battle shovel. We have the newer version of the Viking in the small size. The newer version includes the secondary over travel lock that actually screws down and prevents the lock bar from moving over. And then we have the newer version of the larger Viking, which is the same thing. It's just bigger, right? And it's got the newer screw down lock, so that's fun. A good way to slice your finger off for sure. We have this one I always forget the name of. Thunrar. Sorry, I had to look that one up. The Thunrar. Also coming with a secondary pin to lock it out. Just another ridiculous, super crazy thick knife. The thickness of everything in this case is anywhere from 190 thousandths to almost a half an inch, by the way. We have the very first Beowulf ever. Same thing with the secondary pin lock, but this is quite literally serial number 1 given to me by the designer himself. So I am really, really pumped to have this one in my collection. This is definitely one of my favorite overbuilt knives, not just because it's serial number 1, but because it's just really cool. I love the shape of it. We have the Midgard's Messer Berserker, which is also one that gets a lot of attention. This is also a 10-something inch knife. It's just huge. There's no secondary lock or anything like that. It's just a really gigantic, aggressive looking, it almost looks like a flintlock pistol, right? With a Persian blade attached to it. One of my favorite overbuilt knives, my personal favorite, is the Maxace Hephaestus. And this guy has a screw down lock, a secondary pin, huge external stops, and a frame lock. So it is ridiculously tough. And probably one of the more practical knives. I mean, if we're going to say any of these are practical, right? Here's an example of something that is not practical at all, but it is my favorite overbuilt knife. This is the thickest one of the bunch. I think one of the thickest folding knives in existence. I know Griffin or whatever his name is makes some thicker ones, but this is the PMP Alpha Beast, but it is one of 5 that exist in Damasteel. These went for, I think, at least $2,500. So I was really, really happy to actually get one. They made tons of the D2 versions, and I think they're actually making more. I think I actually ordered a MagnaCut one. But yeah, this is one of 5 on Earth where it is made of Damasteel. It might actually be the thickest Damasteel folding knife in existence. I'm not really sure. We have the Maxace Titanus, which is appropriately named, or the Power Ranger knife, as a lot of people like to put it. This is not a knife that I would want to carry around for a lot of reasons, but as a collector of all things bladed, and especially ridiculous bladed objects, yeah, I definitely had to get one of these. And then finally, this is probably the largest overall. It's not the heaviest, believe it or not. The PMP Alpha Beast is still heavier, but this is the Maxace Vortex. It's actually thicker than 1/4 inch. So it's the second thickest knife in the bunch. I can just barely get it on camera here. Do you think they put enough screws in it? Jeez, Maxace really screwing with everybody there. Sorry about that. That was terrible. Yeah, it's gigantic for sure. That's it for the overbuilt knives. Now it's time to move on to the really crazy stuff. All right, we are at the final knife case. Now this knife case is, it's an 80 slot case, and it is reserved for stuff that is more expensive, special edition stuff that's more rare, right? It's not perfectly consistent, right? Sometimes things are put in here because they just need to be by their other counterparts or whatever, but this is definitely the craziest part of my collection. So starting off here with one that doesn't fit. I literally have no more room. This poor knife. This is my newest acquisition. And it is the custom Serge Panchenko and Hawk Knives Rook. This deserves to be in this case with it being a $1,000 knife and definitely one of the more sought after knives for 2023. But there's no room yet. So the poor guy is just going to sit in his case there until I get another. I'll probably buy another 80 slot case, right? At the rate that I acquire things. This is a ZT-0392, the very best knife that ZT ever created. This was the Hinderer collaboration. This is an authorized Hinderer collaboration, which is why it looks like the Eclipse, and it is built literally exactly the same way. Originally, it was an 0392 BRZ. This is in CTS 204P, by the way. It's a user, for sure, but I replaced all of the hardware, which was fading, with just silver Eclipse hardware. So that's actually a user, believe it or not. Moving on here, if I can actually get that one out of there, we have the Knoll Knives Voodoo. Very cool, really happy to finally have that one here. Some of these, because the pouch or because the case is a little deeper, and I know I need to add something underneath, some spacers to get these things out, but it's just going to be a little bit more tricky. We have I think this was a Cranes Cutlery exclusive Damasteel and Mokutai kickstop version of the Chavez 229. And then I actually have another kickstop version of the 229, which is going to fight me on the way out. And it's just the plain Jane one in the Tanto configuration. So that one's fun. I'm not going to have a lot more to say about some of these then. It's fun, right? If you're a knife collector, that's all you need to know. The regular Chavez 229 with the thumb stud flipper, that's the first one that I had picked up. Actually, I used to have an old Chavez 228. The American version, but I got rid of it for some reason. We have the Herman Micro Sting in, I think that's M398. Yeah, M398. That's the one of the Hermans that I EDC. In fact, all three of these in a row are Hermans that I EDC. This is a standard Herman Sting in M398. Of the three plain Hermans that I have, this is the one that gets carried the most. And then we have the big boy, the Herman Dragonfly, which does get carried periodically. I really like this knife. I have a much crazier version of it that you're going to see here in just a little bit, but that's the user version. We have the Brown FSD. That's a USA-made button-operated liner lock. Definitely not an easy knife to get a hold of. Mine is in CPM 20CV and is actually number 30 ever. So it's nice to have a low serial number there. We have the Reich Cybertrix, which is just an absolutely bizarre knife. Very expensive, but again, I think Reich is really enjoying showing off what they're capable of doing. This is weird because it runs on phosphor bronze. We have the Maxace Dragon, which is a absurdly expensive Maxace knife, but it's also got some extra features like the beautiful eggshell finish. We've got the zirconium pivot, Timascus pivot collar, Timascus clip, and probably the craziest bat wing, or it's supposed to be a dragon wing blade that you've ever seen. We have the Varga VBR. I was in on the first run of these and got one in Damasteel and Mokutai, so that's definitely a fun one there. We have the Hog House Veli, which is probably one of the nicest knives that I have handled in 2023. This is absolutely beautiful, and they are a step above, I think, their competition for sure. So if you can get a hold of one of these, they are expensive, but they are truly wonderful. And then finally, for the bottom row, we have, believe it or not, my only Chris Reeve knife, and that's the Umnums. This is my favorite Chris Reeve knife by a long shot. This was a gift, another gift when I hit 100,000 subscribers. My buddy Scott and a bunch of people actually had this laser engraved. It says, "From your 100,000 friends." Very cool. This is a very special knife because that was a big milestone for this channel. So really happy with that one. Moving on here, we have the Spyderco Python in S90V. This is an integral. I wanted to own this knife forever. Unfortunately, I still got one with major lockstick, and I will admit it is starting to kind of work itself out, but it's still there. So I'm hoping, you know, there's still hope for this guy. Incredibly expensive knife. Speaking of expensive Spydercos, probably the craziest Spyderco in the collection. This is a heavily customized Spyderco Shaman in Med and Boss Zircotai scales, and this one's in S90V, the satin finished S90V. Next up, we got 3 Shamans in a row here, by the way, and some of you, you know, anybody who's watched my collection update videos, you'll be familiar with these. We have the Zirconium Oil Slick, also by Met and Boss, Spyderco Shaman, in the CTS XHP. That one's got a little, that one was freshly oiled, but a really fun one there. And then definitely, I don't know, a lot of people might say this is the weirdest one. This is the most customized, I think. This is the River's Edge Cutlery exclusive Spyderco Shaman in factory FDE coated CTS 204P, only done for River's Edge Cutlery. It's got titanium flytanium scales on it that I sent to River's Edge Cutlery to have them Cerakote black along with the backspacer. And then I have a black MXG deep carry clip on there. So that was a fun little project knife there for sure. We have, this is kind of a rare one, the Christensen Knife Works Maverick S in Zircotai. A lot of Zircotai. That is definitely a cool knife. We have, we have the Terrain 365 Invictus in Terravantium, which is a cobalt-based composition that can't rust. It literally cannot. We have the craziest version of the new Artisan Cutlery Boa in mirror polished S90V and solid Damascus scales. Yeah, that's a wild one there. Was very shocked to see that Artisan Cutlery was capable of doing that. Very cool stuff. We have another recent acquisition. This is the Spartan Harsey folder in the black or maybe just very dark gray DLC. Love that one. We have my only true Strider. This is a MSC SMF, or it's a Performance Series SMF, sorry. This is in CPM 154 and full titanium. That's the only one that I was interested in. Very cool, perfect centering on that guy. Really, really enjoy that one. We have the Reich Lamella. This knife gave me stitches trying to take it apart. Literally had to go to the hospital and get stitches. I think a lot of you remember that. One of the scars from that incident, it's hard to say because now there are so many scars on my hands, but I actually cut this finger open, and then there was another big slice on the inside of this finger right there from the lamella. So that's that was really great there. Next up, we have the Chapman Lake Knives CLKT. This is an American-made button lock with that beautiful purple to blue ano. Really wild Tanto blade, and then they actually put my helmet logo on there for me, which is really cool. These are super duper weird, super interesting. A lot of people look at them and they're not really sure what to think about the aesthetic, but I really enjoy this one. Moving on here, definitely a knife that creates a lot of jealousy. This is the actual USA Demco AD20. Substantially larger than the AD20.5. This is CPM 20 CV and textured titanium. Every time I show this knife, I get a whole bunch of emails of people trying to make me offers. Don't. It's not for sale, but thank you. We have the Guardian Tactical Recon 40, which honestly probably could be moved to the other case, so I could make room for the Rook, but it's just still sitting here. I really like that one. That's one of the biggest OTFs that I own. We have the Les George VECP V3 frame lock, which is just a classic. This knife it's been good for so many years, and it's still an amazing knife. We have the Medford and Strider 3/4 AR. So Strider design, but built by Medford and in S90V. I think that's a DLT exclusive. We have one of the first runs of the Riot EXO, so it's the larger one with no lock, but it has the Zircotai inlays. This is factory, and it's a special edition from Crane's Cutlery. There's only 9 of these, I think. Next up, we have a really strange one. This is the Jans EMW, which is a double Damasteel blade front flipper. We have a Tanto and a drop point blade, both in beautiful polished
Damasteel, and then we have huge chunks of Zircotai laid into a blue anodized titanium frame. This is also a Crane's Cutlery exclusive. This is number 25 of 25. Very cool. We have the infamous Rockstead Higo 2 with no tip. This is the knife I always use as an example when, and you know, you can look down in the comments, there's already people going, of all those knives, you don't even use them. There's a ton of knives in here in these cases that are users, including this $1,500 Rockstead that's got scratches and no tip and plenty of marks all over the clip for sure. There are definitely knives in my collection I don't use, but I absolutely use a ton of knives. So that one, the tip was busted on accident, obviously. But we have next up the Vero Synapse XL with the end cut carbon fiber, and I think more importantly, the zirconium backspacer and pocket clip. This is one of my favorite Veros in the collection. I have a plain Jane Vero XL, but it's got the upgraded Timascus clip and backspacer. I bought these, I think that was purchased from Alva Science Pal on the secondary market after the fact. Then we have definitely the rarest Vero. I think, again, there are only 9 of these. This is the Isotope Integral with Timascus inlays. Very cool. I will never, ever get rid of that one for sure. Another cool one, this is in my opinion, the ultimate ProTech Rockeye, and that's the brass. It's got patina on it, but that's fine with me. I bought this from Scott. The mirror polished ProTech Rockeye automatic. One of the hardest firing autos I have ever handled. That thing is insane. We have the Custom Knife Factory and Terzwola Eagle Rock in S90V. Oh boy, that's a good one. Ridiculously smooth as well. What do we have here? I think this is a special edition. Yeah, this is the Gathering edition of the ProTech Invictus automatic. Sorry, it's got the green button. That's really the only difference. But this was the Gathering 12 edition, and it was just sitting there at PBK Vegas, so of course I had to pick it up. We have a full custom JK Integra in Damacor and solid Timascus. We're getting into some of the crazier stuff here, so you're going to start seeing knives that run multiple thousands. I think some people are familiar with that, some people are not. We have the Liangma Model 18 Integral in Mokotai with the pocket clip and the inlays, and then we have a Damasteel blade. Absolutely one of my favorites there. We have the... I always forget because I keep thinking, I think, is this the Tempest? I think it's the Sharp by Design Tempest. I think, I might be incorrect about that, but this is the special version with the purple carbon fiber and M398 hand rub satin finished blade. Very cool. This one here is definitely a prized possession. This is the Sharp by Design Evo Typhoon in Damasteel, the Harpoon Evo Typhoon. Another knife that gets a lot of offers whenever I show it, but that one's going to stay with me. Next up, we have a really cool version of the Custom Knife Factory and Philippe Georget FIF 20 in really cool Zircotai and carbon fiber. Love the blade. This has got such a unique look on it. Really cool. I just have a couple of Medfords here. I just haven't been interested in buying Medford for a long time, but I do have an S90V Marauder. This is an H-frame Marauder, so not a 1/4 inch thick, but it was definitely one of the nicer looking ones that I had seen in a while. And then I also have the 187 DLT exclusive in S90V, signified by the 9 there. Definitely a fun one. Moving on here, we have a bunch I think there's a whole bunch of Microtechs here. So we have the Microtech Stitch that's blacked out, but has all of the the stuff that nobody likes all over the blade. And then more recently, I picked up a Shadow Stitch, which costs a lot more money because they don't put anything on the blade. And, you know, despite knowing that I overpaid, which is the case with a lot of this stuff, I was happy to get one with nothing at all on the blade. Next up, we have the Microtech and Reich Anax Integral. This is the all black one with the carbon fiber inlays. And that one I don't use, but this one I do. It's the same thing, it's just not black. So this one sees some more use. And it's for some reason, Microtech definitely wanted to put all of that crap all over the blade. We have the new Microtech and Reich SOCOM Bravo. This is the all black one in Tanto. And then I have another SOCOM Bravo that is the same thing, but it is not black. And again, they put their logos and stuff all over the pivot. This one's also a drop point or clip point, whatever you want to call that. Then I have the USA Microtech SOCOM Elite from a long time ago. I think this was a 2018. Yeah, this was a gift from my wife. So I was pretty happy to get that one. Very cool. Wish they weren't tipped down. We have a Microtech Dirac Delta in bronze. I knew I was going to own this knife in bronze as soon as I realized they made them that way. We have a Microtech Signature Series Combat Troodon Hellraiser or War Hell. I can't remember what they call this, but it's a ridiculous. It looks like a broken blade, which I find interesting. So I had to pick one up. Then I have another Signature Series Combat Troodon, the Hellhound Tanto. This was actually a Christmas gift from my wife. And then I have this one always grabs a bunch of the blue stuff on its way out, but another popular one. This is the Microtech Scarab 2 Shadow Edition. Definitely the biggest, most powerful OTF that I've got. That thing is absolutely nasty, and I will never let that thing go. Another crowd favorite. Now, when I say that, I mean whenever I put these things on social media, certain knives just get a lot of views. There's some stuff stuck to this. It's so shiny. This is the CKF Rotten Evo, the newest, I think one of the newer variations, maybe the second newest, 8.5-inch version, but with the polished DLC. Oh boy, that's a fun one. We have, here, get ready, this is a crazy one. Let me shine this one up here a little bit. This is my custom Skiff Drifter in Zircotai and Damacor. So we have Zircotai on the pivot collar and a beautiful Zircotai pocket clip, nice purple anodized backspacer and screws there. Very cool. I have two Crane's Cutlery exclusive Riot jacks. One in, these are integrals by the way. This is in Mokatai and M398. I can't remember what number this is. This one's 14 of 24. And then the one that I like a little bit more is the exact same thing, but it's in Zircotai. So Mokatai is Mokame Gain and titanium, and Zircotai is zirconium and titanium. I think it just looks a little better. This one is number 2 of 24. So huge fan of that one for sure. More knives that create a little bit of jealousy. We have my first Hawk Deadlock Model C in aluminum and carbon fiber. This one might end up actually becoming a user. And then we have the newest, oh boy, the John Wick 4 edition DLC titanium and marble carbon fiber. DLC blade and mirror polished dagger grind. Yeah, this is also the Hawk Deadlock Model C. That was not cheap. We have into my hinderers. I have a full titanium Hinder XM24 Harpoon Spanto. That is a Knife Center exclusive, but the scale was purchased off the Hinderer site. Those do not, the XM24 titanium scales do not come along very often. We have the Dark Horse. This is a very rare stonewashed DLC, not blackwashed DLC or battle black, and not DLC. This is in fact a different finish that we never see anymore. That's why I kept it, because it's even weirder that it's an XM24. Carbon fiber front scale, all black hardware, matching stonewashed DLC titanium frame and stonewashed DLC titanium, or actually I think that might be a steel clip. I honestly can't remember. And then I've got a steel flame Crusader nut on there. So that's a fun one. We have, this one's been modified, which bothers some people. This is the Monkey Edge exclusive XM18 3.5-inch Frag edition in CPM 3V. So
It's got the Monkey Edge logo. I managed to find a Battle Black titanium scale, so I took the frag scale off of it and put a titanium Battle Black scale on there. So I just, I prefer it that way. I have, this is the one that I use. This is a Gen 6, an early Gen 6 full titanium Harpoon Spanto in S35VN. Definitely a great one. Testament to how well Hinder knives hold up. That thing gets beaten on. We have, I think this is an E-Knives exclusive non-flipper Eclipse in CPM 20CV. And then I was lucky enough to, I think Scott helped me out with the titanium Eclipse scale there. I can't remember. A lot of these, it was difficult to find the scales. This is a recent trade with my buddy Lucifer, who might show up in the comment section. This is the XM18 3.5-inch automatic in titanium. I was trying to get one of these forever, and I just could not get one, and he offered to trade. We have, is this my favorite boy? Yes, this is my favorite boy, the best XM18 in existence, the DLT Trading exclusive non-flipper Follard Spear. And then I have actually one of my only solid titanium scales, not milled. All the new ones are milled, probably for the better, but just, you know, it's fun because this is an older titanium scale. So this is my favorite XM18. And then over here, one of the Shirogorovs got squeezed to the end, and that's the F3NS, probably the best design from Shirogorov. This is just the plain one in bronze and M390. We have top row. These are definitely the craziest. We have the Shirogorov and RJ Martin soft overkill in the black micarta and then blue accents there. Mirror polished blade on that one. Very cool. I think these are M398, but I honestly cannot remember, and I don't know that it's marked anywhere. We have the, oh yeah, this is the Quantum Ursus. This is the E-Knives exclusive Shirogorov Quantum Ursus in Chromax PM. We have the original production Quantum, so not the Quantum 2, but the Shirogorov just plain Quantum. I remember Al the Science Pal showing me his, and I had to buy one immediately. We have the F95-0 is the newest production version of the F95. This one was so tight when I got it, and I was like, is it ever going to break in? Oh boy, it did, and it's still breaking in. Heavy detent on that F95, but I love it. Definitely my favorite Shirogorov of the bunch, and I get a lot of trade offers on this one. This is the special edition F95 or F3NS in Technocarbo, Aqua Technocarbo, and Vanax, and it's also my smoothest Shirogorov. So it came with the lanyard. I'm not going to cut it off because it's a special edition, so don't get on me for that. Right, nothing I can do. A recent acquisition, this is the Herman Ishtar with a little bit of custom titanium milling there. We have a beautiful, like an orange peel textured MagnaCut blade. Had to hang on to that one. I hadn't seen one in MagnaCut. We have another Ishtar with, it's not the Persian style blade, it's the alternative blade with the gold DLC and what they call Bifrost Damasteel, which is, it's like DLC polished Damasteel. We have a Herman Mantis here, which has been touched a lot, so all the colors are dulled. It's kind of got like a magma zircotite on it. And then we have Balbach Sequence Damascus, which is really cool and highly polished. Really big fan of that one. One of my favorite Hermans, definitely one of the craziest. This is a Herman Slim with, I refer to this as Peacock Timascus. And then we have more Balbach with that perfect sequence. Each side of this is a little bit different. This is black Timascus, so there's zirconium in there too. This side's just got a little bit more green. We have a fully customized micro sting. Beautiful, vibrant Timascus, which actually, this has been touched a lot here lately, so we're not even getting all the colors. There we go, a little bit better there. And then more Bifrost Damasteel for the blade. If you can't tell, I'm a huge fan of Herman knives. My first custom Herman ever. This is the Dragonfly. So this is the big boy, and then this is the Performance Damacore with essentially what is essentially a Vanax core. So we have Damasteel as the jacket, and then that core running down the center is Damacor. So this is quite a wild one. This is one of the first customs that they did with like the crazy materials. And then we have, let me make sure, and I'm going to try and keep my fingerprints off of this one. This is the Francois du Toit TF4. Still managed to get some marks on there. This is fully polished mirror zero etch Damacor, polished zirconium, polished blue titanium liners. We have a Damasteel pocket clip. And then we also have a Damasteel backspacer. You'll have to excuse the fingerprints. There's just nothing. It really is perfectly done. But whenever I touch this, it just, fingerprints everywhere. I mean, I know a lot of people say, what's the point? If you made it this far in the video, you know what the point is. You don't need to ask that, right? I'm obviously a collector when it comes to knives. So that was that's a pretty special piece there. Far and away the most expensive knife in my collection. But I love this, and I had to have one of these in my collection. So I had to sell a lot of stuff to get this, but this is a Marfione and Borka collaboration custom stitch with the mirror polished DLC star grind. That's done by hand. And then we have the black titanium frame, which I actually prefer. And then this, you can't see it, but we have blue tritium milled into the blade everywhere and the backspacer. So this is really cool. It actually glows in the dark, which I probably can showcase for you guys here real quick. Can we see there? Yeah, so there's the backspacer, and then we have the back of the blade and the front of the blade, which I've always thought was really, really cool. So that is a fun one, and I doubt that I'll be making another purchase like this anytime soon, but really happy with that one. And then a knife that's nowhere near as expensive, still very expensive, but I consider this the crown jewel of my collection. This is the Sharp by Design Arch Nemesis. A lot of people think that all Sharp by Design knives are made in China by Riot. No. The customs are made by Brian Nadeau right here in the United States. So this is a custom double compound edge dagger. Flipper dagger, which is wild. You can see that I get really excited about it. When I say the word compound, I get so excited I spit. This was a gift from my wife for our 5-year anniversary. It was really cool because she managed to reach out to Brian Nadeau, explain who she was, and I have known Brian through the Knife Nuts podcast. Levon and I are good friends, and so he agreed to make this, and without me knowing. So I had no idea that I was getting this. But this is some of the most beautiful machine work that I've ever seen in my life, and it's the reason that I consider Brian Nadeau to be one of the greatest custom knife makers, especially when we're combining machine elements with custom work, right? Depends on how you value that. But this is incredible. I don't have anything else in my collection like it. And it's also very, very rare. These are really, really difficult to come by. So I was just really excited that I got an opportunity to own one, because it's just very special to me. So that's it. We got through the whole collection. Wow. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is available at the retailers down in the description, but a lot of it isn't. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys got to see everything. If you have any questions about my collection, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll do my best to answer. That's going to be it today, guys. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.